Keri TV, and we are back today for another episode of information and facts about the real estate market. And I have been invited out to the CG Realtors office, and we're filming here today in their new podcast room. And I'm so happy to be here, so excited and thankful. If you have anybody buying or selling in the foothills in the Claremont area, make sure you send them this way. All right, so if you haven't seen this channel before, make sure you like and subscribe so you get notified every week of our new episodes. So let's talk about affordability. Are houses today less affordable than they ever have been? There are many headlines about housing affordability now. And are they actually more expensive now than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Well, we know for certain that housing today is more expensive than it was last year. But in fact, when you look at the last 10 years, 2005, maybe 1995, if you roll it back all the way to 1975 and you look at the analytics of the housing prices, mortgage rates, and inflation, it's quite interesting to see the affordability now versus the last 45 years. Let me break it down a bit. Obviously, homes have appreciated dramatically over the last 45 years, but so has everything. Gas, milk, nobody drinks milk anyways, bread, anything that you consume has gone up in price, and that is simply due to inflation. So when you look at the price, the cost of a home, the price can be a big misunderstanding, I guess, when it comes to the actual affordability of a home. Just because a home was worth $100,000 10 years ago and now it's worth $1 million, it may not necessarily mean that the house is more affordable today. And let me break that down. So let's look at what else is involved besides the price of a home. So the mortgage amount, the first one. You take the median sale price at the end of the second quarter of each year as reported by the Fed and assume that a buyer made a 10% down payment. Okay, we'll start there. Second portion, your mortgage rate. Look at the monthly 30-year fixed rate for June of that year as reported by our friends at Freddie Mac. Then look at the P&I, which is the principal and interest, which you can use a mortgage calculator for. Then you take a look at the inflation calculator. So once you have all of these factors in place, we'll show you a graph of how this looks. We'll pull this up. Everywhere on this graph in green means it was less expensive then to buy a house than it is today. Red means that it was more expensive to buy a house. Let you take a look here. Not too much green, is there? As the chart shows, when adjusted for inflation, there were only 2 times in the last 45 years that it was actually more affordable to buy a house. That's wild. Those 2 times were last year. Prices saw strong appreciation over the last year, and mortgage rates have remained relatively flat, as you know. Therefore, affordability weakened. And then in 2010, that was during the big crash. Home values plummeted after this crash, and obviously everything was selling at a major discount and therefore much more affordable. So at every other point here, even in 1975, it was more expensive to buy a home than it is today. So I understand the headlines can be very misleading, but when you look at these simple facts of cost of living, it's quite impactful to see the power of home ownership. So what's my bottom line? If you want to buy a home, don't let the headlines discourage you because you're probably getting a better deal than mom and dad did. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next week on another episode of Keri TV. Cheers.